My 23 male horrible family contacted me after years because they wanted me to help them. Let me start this by saying that this entire situation was overwhelming for many different reasons. When I grew up, my parents and my sister treated me badly through my entire childhood. Because while my sister, who is 2 years older than me, was an intended child, I wasn't. And they exactly treated me this way while they spoiled her rotten. Going into details about my childhood is something I want to avoid, but I guess it doesn't hurt me to give you an impression. My parents treated me more like a slave, as I had to do all of the chores when I came home from school, and I slept in the guest room on a dirty couch, while my sister had a big room with a big bed. They even invented a 2-class meal system for me and my sister, where I was only allowed to eat, let alone sit down at a table when they and her were done eating. Meaning, basically, I ate their leftovers. They were also physically harming me, as my mom and dad loved to beat me whenever something from the chores wasn't done correctly. My sister was no better. I wasn't a sibling to her, more like a housemaid. She loved bullying me at school and at home. She even told lies to the only friends I had so they wouldn't like me anymore. She told them I was talking bad behind their backs. Any explanation attempt failed, so for the most part, I was alone during my childhood that was filled with tears and pain. When I turned 18, they kicked me out of the house and they probably didn't expect what came next. I completely cut any contact and built my life for myself. I found my first real job, and from that point on, my life only went forward, and I never wanted to look back ever again. My life got better and better, as I then got a much better paying job. Now, I was able to afford an apartment. My life went well, and I became a high supervisor in the company I worked for. Remembering my parents' jobs, I probably make more each month than both of them combined. And since I lived alone in a quite modest apartment, my income far exceeded my financial expenses, meaning that I was able to save a lot of money. Before I explain what happened now, I need to mention that my sister had a condition from an early age. As I am not an immature a-hole, I won't go into any details about it. This is a matter that only concerns my sister and her doctor, and maybe my parents. I respect that and don't interfere, but I still have to mention it for this story to make sense. Okay, fast forward to a few months ago. I received a call from an unknown number. I haven't talked to them for quite a while, so I didn't recognize the voice at first. But it was my mother. When I realized who it was, I just wanted to hang up. But I think she saw that coming and begged me to not hang up and let her explain why she called. She slowly started to apologize and ask if we could meet. She said I don't have to talk to her. She just wants me to listen to what she has to say. I honestly still don't know how she found out my phone number. Whatever. I agreed since I had 2 weeks off from my work anyway, and honestly, she's really good at persuading people. Besides that, I had a plan. Well, we agreed to meet at a local cafe the next week. And when they came, I was surprised to see my father there too. When they saw me, both of them smiled at me widely and hugged me tight. I pushed them away and told them I'm not comfortable with this, and they apologized immediately. This was strange, really strange. They never behaved this way towards me, and I felt something was off, and I asked them to tell me why they want to talk to me. The next hour was them explaining how sorry they are, and how deeply they regret treating me the way they did. It was so awkward, but then they finally got to the point. My mom explained that my sister still lived with them and that her condition got way worse. She needs a specific surgery that would help her, but her health care is so expensive for them that they cannot afford it while having to deal with the other expenses. And the longer they wait, her condition would get worse, and it would get more expensive. What they basically told me was they were in a financial downward spiral. They told me that their insurance company refuses to cover the surgery, so they have to find another solution. They told me that they saw a photo of a company meeting at my company on Facebook that a coworker had shared, and I also was on the photo, so they figured that I was now successful. Honestly, I don't like that word. It sounds so snobby. Then said they know they have no right to ask me for this, but they asked if I could help them financially. I stayed quiet the whole time, and when they were done explaining, I asked them to meet my sister. Surprisingly, she was in a hospital, and that is also why she couldn't come too. She had a separate room, and when she saw me, she also smiled with delight. You guys understand why I still think this was super awkward and weird, right? However, we talked a bit, and I asked her and my parents why I should help them. I wanted to confront all of them at the same time. I just talked and released all the suppressed emotions at once. I told every one of them how much they hurt me over the years and all the horrible things they did to me. I also knew that I had the power of their fate in my hands now. When I was done with everything, I just left the room without looking back. And you can't imagine how good I felt getting all of this off my chest. And then I decided to actually play the power move. I did something that probably none of them expected. Yes, I actually paid for surgery. A surgery that could possibly make her condition stable for a very long time. I could have decided right there and then to never look back and just let her rot. But instead, I decided to help them. I think that this was way more powerful. I also knew that this would probably make them feel way more guilty and regretful for what they did to me. I had seen Schindler's List a few weeks before all of that happened. I'm not lying when I say that a famous quote from Oskar Schindler inspired me to do this. That power is when we have every justification to kill and we don't. I asked a young doctor to go into their room now and tell them that the surgery would be paid. I then left the hospital and drove home. My sister texted me and said that she's so thankful that I did this for her. That she feels so horrible for treating me how she had treated me, blah blah blah. Where are we? In a drama series? The same texts also came from my parents. By the way, the surgery went well. I feel in peace with myself. I feel good. Till today, they often text me and ask if we could meet. What an interesting turn of events. Edit. For those who don't understand the power move, if I would have just left my sister to rot in her hospital bed, I wouldn't be any better than them. Me paying proves I will always be the better person. I know who I am, and I know that helping her was the right thing to do, even if some of you might not agree. Because even after all the trauma and pain they inflicted on me, I still am a good person who was able to keep his humanity, unlike them. If this makes you think they won, then I don't know what to tell you. And guys, don't need to worry. I'm going to block them soon, as I'm not ready to reconcile in the near future. I just want to see how hard they're gonna try to get my attention again. Now for the top comments. You do know that unless you block them, they will keep making demands and ask for money. Who said I'm gonna give it to them? You already did OP, but then if it helps you on your path to healing, then why not? Nope, I didn't pay for the surgery because they demanded it, but to prove that I am better than they ever will be. I don't feel the need to treat people like trash. Brace yourself for the many surgeries or things they're gonna ask you for from now on. If you think that they feel more guilty or whatever, you are wrong. Now they think you're free game and would mooch off you because you are a good person who still craves his family's attention. If you think this is the end, you are so wrong. The surgery was a real thing. I made sure it was. And they haven't asked for anything in the last months. They only asked for me to meet them and I told them they won't get anything more from me. Next story. My pregnant ex keeps trying to move into my apartment, plus many updates. Original post. This is my friend's story that I'm posting for him because he doesn't have an account and wants people to hear about this. Also, for convenience sake, I'm going to write this in first-person point of view because pronouns are hard to keep up with. So I, 21 male, have an ex, Angelica, 20 female. Angelica and I had an on and off relationship since we were about 15, but got serious when COVID hit and I had to move back to my hometown. We got an apartment together, and very soon after, she started spending a lot of time with her cousin. Long story short, she's boning her fake cousin, and we break up. We've been broken up 9 months at this point. For 7 of those months, her phone has been on my phone bill, and she owes me over $500. Fine, whatever. I'll never see that $500, and she always makes excuses to pay me back. That's life. My own fault for letting her keep using me as a cash cow. She also took my car when we broke up, and I let her because I was too afraid she would try to take my apartment too. Anyway, it's 9 months past our breakup. I get a message. Hey, I'm pregnant. I'm on my way home from work, so I don't respond. That is 9 months past being my problem. It is not my baby. She messages me again. My boyfriend, the one she cheated on me with, and I have nowhere to stay. Still, 9 months past my problem. Angelica has never worked a day in her life. She lives off the disability check from her boyfriend and spends 99% of it on weed and fast food. She never paid rent and is documented to never pay rent. Anyway, she tells me, my name is still on the lease. We're going to move in September. I tell her, your name is not on the lease. It was renewed last month and I took your name off. I'm sorry. She messages me calling me an a-hole and saying she's moving in. because she has nowhere for her baby and 3 dogs to stay. Mind you, my apartment is more like a studio and barely fits me, let alone 2 other people and 3 dogs. I tell her it's not happening. I'm moving out of town soon anyway. Also to come pick up her things that she's left at my apartment for 9 months. She says no, and that if I throw it away, she's going to press charges. I tell her it doesn't matter, because when I move, I'm throwing it away. She later called my landlord and told him I was planning to move out. I got upset at this and told her I ran the numbers on a car as it's still in my name. Get the car out of my name now, or I'm repossessing it, or she can leave me the heck alone. She started bawling on a call asking how could I do this to her and her unborn child, and I was condemning her and her child to be homeless. She also still has a firearm in my name that I told her to give back or I'm calling the cops. I'm really considering repossessing the car since it was mine from the start and is still in my name. She doesn't deserve to get a free car handed to her. She needs to wake up. She keeps saying she needs a place to stay, that I'm ruining her and her baby's life. It's literally my apartment that she has never once paid rent on. I don't know how she thinks she's entitled to just live in my apartment with the guy she cheated on me with, and 3 dogs. I hope the baby ends up okay. It's not his fault its mother is a spoiled brat. But I also hope being homeless and carless wakes her the heck up. Now for the top advice before reading the update. Dude, your friend needs to file several police reports, like yesterday. First and foremost, for the firearm that she has in her possession that's registered in his name. If he hasn't reported it stolen and she uses it in any kind of crime, he's gonna get charges on him for not keeping track of it at the very least. And the car. Who has the title? Did he sign it over to her? If not, that needs to be reported stolen as well. Yep, this dude's life is about to get freaking wrecked. OP needs to sit down with him and write it all down in a to-do list and check off every one of those boxes from most important to last. The ex can really mess his life up. Granted, she isn't smart, but could easily Google a how-to. Yes, and the list as follows. 1. Call the police and report the car as stolen. 2. Ditto and report the weapon as stolen. 3. Get her off the phone plan if he hasn't already. 4. File a small claims court case for the $500. 5. Make sure all paperwork for the dog comes back to you alone. 6. Get a restraining order or stay away order of protection from your local court. Use the stolen firearm and car and threats against your home and pet as the reasons. 7. Sit back and watch your world burn. Your friend is a doormat and really dumb. That's what I've been telling him too. Why hasn't he canceled the phone? $500? Why let it get that far? Poor sap. I hope she doesn't ruin him for the good women out there. You need to ditch the friend. He's going to drag you down with him. Nah, we don't live near each other. Very limited contact except over the phone. He's just a really nice guy, but also stupid and a doormat. Thanks though. Now for the mini updates. My friend said his ex is coming to pick up her stuff tomorrow and return the weapon. If he gets shot, I'll let you guys know, I guess. Update 2. Her and her boyfriend, the fake cousin, came to my friend's apartment, returned a gun, and picked up her stuff. Her boyfriend then proceeded to wave his own firearm around and demand to be put back on the lease. Not how that works. My friend called the cops, and they booked it out of there before the cops arrived. I'm not sure about the rest. Also, no response back from him, so I don't know at this point. Alright, final update. Phone is no longer on the phone bill, her stuff is out of his apartment, his gun is returned, dog is in his possession, still no car. He said it's not worth it at this point. My friend asked for no charges, so I doubt anything will happen. He said he's cutting her out of his life and going no contact. I'm personally upset about the car, but nothing to do about it now. Last story. I ghosted my ex 10 months ago and I couldn't be more proud of myself. My ex cheated, lied, and had a baby on me. We were supposed to get married and moved in this year. I won't go into too much details because it is in the past now, but the relationship became very toxic. And I've been hiding since then. I think he was used to me always taking him back after being nasty. I didn't know he was cheating or had a baby until we broke up. Even had nudes of a mutual friend. I was too nice. The good girl. I'm not perfect, but I saw myself totally become unrecognizable in this relationship. My mother would even beg me to get out. Anyway, one day he just crossed the line. The usual routine would be that he'd call me after work to discuss the incident, gaslight me, make it all my fault, and I'd say sorry if I wasn't at his place. So on that very day, I kept quiet as normal while he screamed at me in front of his brother and degraded me. I said, "Okay, thank you." Blocked, deleted him, and changed my number immediately. Ghosted 99% of our mutual friends too. I just cut off the other 1% recently too, for being gossips. I thought I wouldn't last this long. He was expecting me to be like the other women who outed him once he was cheating me on with. Lol. Nope. Not a word or explanation. I know that surprised the heck out of his friends too. They wanted me to be the crazy girlfriend. One of them even told me they were surprised by how calm I handled this. But I couldn't waste my energy on such rubbish, and I needed therapy. Anyway, time has gone by so quickly. I've spent most of this year in my flat crying my eyes out because I truly loved him. But I'm ready for 2023 now. No turning back. Say no to toxic people and friends. Wow, that's amazing. You should be proud of your strength. Well done. And you've handled that a-hole with class. Thank you so much. That means a lot. He done me really dirty. And I know he was expecting me to blast him like his other girls. But I just couldn't reduce myself to that. Besides leaving him, not playing his game is what I'm most proud of. Great. He isn't worth your time. You will find someone who deserves you and will treat you the way you deserve to be treated. Thank you. Has he tried to come by or contact you in any other way? Or is he seemingly accepting you blocking him? Good for you. He didn't even try once. It hurt initially, but told me everything I needed to know about him. He could have used so many methods to contact me. Didn't try once. I can't believe I fell in love with such a person. Very eye-opening. He has already moved on. And it's not even with a pregnant woman last I heard. Am I the a-hole for bringing up my parents' favoritism of my brother after they said they needed my help and I refused? I 17 male, have one older brother Sam, 19 male, and he was always our parents' favorite. I'm not the only person who knows or acknowledges this either. Sam does, so do both maternal and paternal grandparents, my maternal aunt, and all our cousins. For our cousins, it was a running gag that if my parents were ever broke, they'd sell me to keep spoiling Sam. A lot of what I'll mention involves money, and I wanted to give everyone a heads up now. But it won't be all I talk about. And this won't be able to cover everything because there are 17 years of proof LOL. So when I say my parents favor Sam, and that's just the way it is, I mean it's obvious in so many ways. They're more considerate with buying him birthday and Christmas gifts. They know what he wants, and they make sure to get him the biggest item every time, and then they make sure extended family and family friends know what else he wants. They've asked grandparents to get him extra video games when our parents bought him a console. Or they'll ask them to complete the set of team jerseys they know my brother wants. I know this because it was argued about in front of me once or twice. But when it comes to gifts for my birthday and Christmas, I get pretty generic stuff. Sometimes I get something trending, but I always get clothes, shoes, and hygiene sets. Even when I have a list of stuff I'd like, it still happens, and I don't think I ever got something I actually wanted from my parents. It was always others who got me wish-listed items. I remember being like 7 or 8, and I really wanted this Pokemon set. I had asked for it for my birthday and Christmas, and got it neither time. Then my grandparents realized I wanted it, and got it for me after. And my parents confiscated it and told them to keep it until my next birthday. That same year, Sam got his own custom-built PC from our parents. Other times when we're out and he wants something, they have no issue buying it for him. But it doesn't typically happen for me. The exception was when I saw shirts I wanted. My parents got those for me because they said I needed new clothes anyway. Stuff like that has happened a few times by now. Sam was always in football. My parents signed him up when he was 4 because he loved watching it and playing it with Dad. They spent so much money and even signed him up in different places when he didn't like somewhere. But I didn't have an extracurricular until I was 11.
When I was in elementary school, my class was taken to play hockey, and I loved it. I asked my parents if I could play, and they said no. Even when they were told I was good and they should consider it, they were unwilling to. It was only when my maternal grandparents offered to pay for it that they said yes, and then they took it over after a year and said it was because I stayed on the team and didn't quit, since they wouldn't waste the money. Yet they never minded Sam quitting teams frequently, and they even drove 2 hours away to get him to football practice because he didn't like the 2 local teams. Something else that has always bothered me is they make a point of saying we always need to support each other and show up for family. We go to all Sam's games, and we even showed up to cheer him on at pre-game practices and anytime they had a special event at practices. I always had to be there. But it wasn't as strictly followed with me, and sometimes they would lose all enthusiasm for supporting me. Like one time a couple of years ago, they asked him about a game and he told them he didn't have one. They were like, "Okay, then I guess we have no plans." And I told them I had a game. They were like, "Oh, sorry, we didn't realize." Then Sam jumped in and said he wouldn't be there because he had plans with friends. They said it was fine and I didn't need everyone there, but I was never allowed to say that. All that built up to a few weeks ago when my parents told me they needed my help getting the house all fixed up because they're selling. This was the first time I heard about it, and they were like, "Oh, we told Sam." That really bothered me because I still live here and Sam doesn't. They said we needed to fix up stuff before the house can go on the market, and I said I didn't care, and they needed to ask Sam. They were like, "What?" And I said they should ask their favorite. You know, the one they told and the one they always treat better. I brought up the stuff I mentioned here and lots of other things. My parents got mad and said I was overreacting and I still needed to help. I told them to get Sam's help since he's the one they keep in the loop and prefer. My parents were mad and talked to my grandparents, and then got mad at them. Then Mom talked to my aunt and that anger worsened because they all agreed with me. But my parents were like, I didn't get to throw that in their face like that and I don't get to refuse to help. Then we got into a fight and they're still mad at me. Am I the a-hole? Now for the top comments. Not the a-hole. Parents who play favorites deserve what they get when the children they neglect turn their backs on them. Stand your ground. I'm sorry, and I hope you have a great life. Thanks. I'll do my best to make sure my life only gets better after here. Info. Is your brother in college with parents paying for it? If yes, then ask them if they are giving you a full ride like Sam. If they make excuses, consider leaving and go live with a relative. Typically, someone like Sam ends up being a bit of a deadbeat due to the overindulgence by the parents. Do your best in school, go to a great college, and have a rewarding career. As an adult, keep your finances to yourself, including any savings you have for a major purchase. Otherwise, they'll come knocking and ask you to help Sam out, which you'll refuse. Just remember, OP, there's your blood family and then there's your soul family, those that love and nurture you. Surround yourself with your soul family, which can include blood. Not the a-hole. I'd spend as little time as possible at home and more time with your friends and extended family. Yeah, he's in college that they're paying for. They give him extra to spend every week too. But none of that is planned for me. I know because they told him when he was 16 and they met with his guidance counselor to discuss it a year before he graduated. They have not done that with me. My grandparents will let me live with them when I'm 18, but not before then. Next story. Am I the a-hole for telling my sister her boundary will destroy her relationship with her nephew? Original post. I, 30 female, recently got married and had a baby. My sister, 24, does not like my husband and will not tell me why. When I first brought him home to introduce everyone, she was a bit standoffish. But in general, she doesn't really like people, has very few friends, never brings anyone home to meet the family, and has never wanted to spend time with anyone I brought home. Before my husband and I got married, I asked her if she had any issues with him. She said no, and that he seemed nice. I asked her to be my maid of honor and thought all was well. Fast forward to last week, my husband went to drop off something at the family home. My sister lives with my parents and came back looking shaken. I asked him what happened, and he said he knocked, went into the kitchen, and my sister told him my parents weren't home. He said he tried to give her the stuff I had asked him to drop off, and she told him to put it in the garage. It was food, even though they were in the kitchen. He said as he was picking the stuff back up to go, he tried making small talk, commenting about the weather, and she snapped at him saying, "Don't freaking talk to me," and stormed out of the room. My husband has never given me a reason to worry about him being inappropriate or anything, but that was where my mind first went. We lived near them, and he had been gone for less than 5 minutes. I called my sister to ask what happened, and she hung up on me. I messaged her, and she ignored me, until this morning when I bombarded her phone with messages because I wanted to resolve whatever was going on. She finally replied, and basically said she hates him, has always hated him, and her only boundary is that he never talks to her. In the 7 years we have been together, they've spoken maybe 5 times, and that was mostly him greeting her. I asked her why, and she said she doesn't need a reason. She just doesn't like him and doesn't want him around. I asked her point blank if he had done or said something to make her feel like that, and she said he didn't do anything and that she doesn't need a reason to feel how she does. Now my family's very close. My other sibling, brother 29, and I sometimes dropped by unannounced to help my mom cook dinner or just hang out. My parents encourage this, as they say they like having us around. I told her it's going to be weird if he can't even just greet her when we come over. She said she was sick of me having a stranger in her home. I told her I didn't realize she felt that way about him and said I wouldn't ask him to drop stuff off without me being around anymore. Mind you, she's had 7 years to get to know him, and I didn't realize she still considered him a stranger. She then said that was not the point, that she didn't want him talking to her at all, and that was the boundary she wanted respected. I told her I would tell him and try to keep them apart, but that would mean her time with my son, her 6-month-old nephew, would be affected because my husband will not be comfortable with our son being around someone who hates him. Frankly, I'm now uncomfortable with it too, because I don't know what ideas she will try to put in his head. It's also going to affect my parents' time with him, because if my husband can't bring him around, it's going to affect the number of times he goes over there. I didn't tell her, but that hurts my heart because they absolutely adore my son. He's their first and only grandchild so far, and they love spending time with him, always telling us to bring him over. She said I was playing the victim, painting her as a bitch, and trying to trample the only boundaries she has set for herself. I'm currently thoroughly lost and trying to figure out the best way forward. Am I the a-hole here? And is there any way I can fix this situation? Edit. I never expected so many replies in such a short time, but I appreciate the responses. To clarify a few things and answer some questions. 1. I've mentioned it to my parents and they're aware of what happened. My mom said she'll sit my sister down for a conversation, but from what I hear, my sister keeps making excuses to avoid it. Busy, tired, wanting more time, etc. My dad says not to worry about it and that it will blow over. My dad had a heart attack recently and is currently recovering, so I don't want to push it with them right now and stress him out. I left it at that with him and changed the subject. 2. My partner is amazing and has never given me reason to worry about him being around any females. I admit I was worried he had done something when he told me how she responded, because I can't wrap my brain around why she would blow up over just small talk. But she herself said he didn't do anything. 3. I know my brother has had partners, but he hasn't brought any home. I myself didn't bring anyone home until I was serious about them and thought there might be a future. Brought home a grand total of 2 guys, my current partner and my ex from college. Regarding her mental health, she has always had a bad temper and has snapped at me many times with no apology, even when she realized later she was wrong, like accused me of taking her shoes, which she had actually just left in the vehicle. There has never been anything on this level before. Now for the top comments before reading the mini update. This is very weird. You should speak with your mom and brother to see if your sister has disclosed a reason or if she has otherwise been paranoid. It reads like jealousy to me, to be honest. Maybe she feels he's taking her away from the family, but if he's done nothing to her and she won't give a reason, if I were OP, I'd go low or no contact with the sister. Family events, baby showers, parties, etc. Everyone would be invited except for her. You don't want to talk to my husband and we can't resolve this? Fine, LOL, you're on your own. I don't entertain childishness like this. This is what I do. Invite the family for Thanksgiving and Christmas, except for the sister, since she wants nothing to do with the husband. Oh well, it is what she wants. That's right, her boundary is unreasonable. Hating a family member for no reason is just too selfish. It's also not a boundary. If you behave toward me in a way that I find uncomfortable, I will end the interaction is a boundary. Don't talk to me under any circumstances. It's just being controlling, and for apparently no reason beyond vibes. Now for the mini update. I'm blown away by the number of responses. I'm trying to read them all, but replying to everyone is a bit difficult due to the volume. I appreciate all the responses though. It gives me perspective. To clarify, the only reason I considered my husband might have done something is because I'm in healthcare, in an environment where all sides of all stories have to be looked at. My first instinct was that she was being out of line for no reason, but I always try to look at both sides, and was trying to figure out why she said what she did. Both he and she said that he didn't do anything, and I'm going with that. Growing up, my brother was the golden child. My dad only wanted a son, and kept talking about his son and his legacy. My dad has evolved over the years. He doesn't do that anymore and makes all his children a priority now. The dad I had when I was 10 is a different man than the one I have now. My sister was my mom's favorite. She would always say that to us. I never wanted to be the calm princess my mom wanted. I wanted to make my dad happy, be as boy-like as possible, and refuse to wear the dresses, etc. she wanted me to. That relationship has also evolved. My mom and I are on much better terms now than when I was a kid. I was the oddball, and my siblings and I weren't really close until everyone was past 14 or 15. Then we started finding shared interests, etc. My husband was beyond happy to marry into my family. My parents treat him like their own son, and he has said many times they feel more like family than his own family. He has 3 brothers, but he's the youngest by 10 years and felt left out a lot. He once told me he was excited to have a sister-in-law, as he has none of his own and isn't close with his brothers. So this whole thing has him down, and I feel horrible for even considering he had done anything inappropriate when I knew deep down he hadn't. I was just trying to figure out what was going on. My sister told my dad she will sit down with us to talk about it this afternoon when I get off work, so I'm waiting to hear what she says in his presence. I will update again after we talk. Last story. Am I the a-hole for refusing to let my sister move into my apartment temporarily after she got evicted, even though I have the space? This just happened a few days ago, and my family's blowing up my phone. I, 29 female, live alone in a 2-bedroom apartment that I worked years to finally afford. It's not huge, but it's mine. I keep the 2nd bedroom as a home office or guest room. My sister, 26 female, has always been kind of reckless with money. Nice cars she can't afford, shopping sprees, skipping rent to go on vacations. For years, my parents bailed her out, but now they're retired and can't anymore. Last week, she got evicted because she hadn't paid rent in months. She called me crying, saying she just needs a place to crash until she gets back on her feet. But here's the thing, this isn't the first time. 3 years ago, I let her live with me after a breakup. She promised it would only be for a few weeks. It turned into 11 months of chaos. She never helped with bills, left the place a mess, brought random people over, and when I finally asked her to leave, she called me heartless and didn't speak to me for almost a year. So this time, I said no, calmly but firmly. I told her I can't risk going through that again. I offered to help her look for cheaper apartments, even said I'd help with first month's groceries if she could find a room to rent. But she blew up at me, said I was choosing money over family, and that she's pregnant, something I didn't even know until that phone call. Now my parents are furious. They say I'm letting my sister become homeless while expecting a baby, and that family comes first. My mom even said, "You have 2 bedrooms, you're being selfish keeping one empty." But that empty room is literally where I work full-time. I feel guilty. I don't want my sister living on the street, but I also know from experience that if she moves in, she won't leave. And now that a baby is in the mix, I'll basically be a stand-in parent with no end date. So, am I the a-hole for refusing to let my pregnant sister move in with me after she got evicted? You already gave her a chance before, and she burned that bridge by taking advantage of you. Setting boundaries doesn't mean you don't care. It just means you refuse to let someone destroy your stability. Helping her find other resources is more than enough, not the a-hole. Exactly this. Last time I let her move in, it nearly broke me, financially and emotionally. I don't think people understand how draining it is to have someone in your home who doesn't respect your space or boundaries. Saying no this time isn't me abandoning her, it's me protecting myself from going through the same nightmare again. I've already offered to help her find other options, but I can't be her safety net anymore. Your parents are trying to guilt you into fixing a problem they can't fix anymore. It's not your responsibility to parent your sister or her baby. You worked hard for your place, and you deserve peace in it. Don't sacrifice that because she refuses to change. Yes, this is exactly how it feels. My parents keep framing it like I'm turning my back on a family. But really, they just don't want to deal with the fallout themselves anymore. I put in years of work to get my own space and stability, and I won't throw that away because my sister refuses to make different choices. It's exhausting always being the one expected to clean up her mess.